and see where we end up. All right. So, let's acknowledge that Black professionals are still dealing with complex challenges in the corporate spaces, from workplace bias to underrepresentation in leadership, to securing opportunities for growth and entrepreneurship. These challenges aren't new, but in today's shifting political and economic climate, they require even more intentionality in how we advocate for ourselves and each other. Over the past 2 years, we've seen a sharp rollback of corporate DEI programs, largely influenced by shifting political pressures, following the Supreme Court's 2023 decision to strike down affirmative action in college admissions. Lawsuits and political lobbying have targeted DEI initiatives in the private sector. So states like Florida and Texas have introduced legislation restricting DEI funding in workplaces, leading to companies like Starbucks, Disney, and Target to scale back diversity-focused programs to avoid legal scrutiny. In addition to that, but wait, there's more. Economic downturns have disproportionately impacted Black professionals. A 2024 McKinsey survey report revealed that layoffs during tech industry downsizing affected Black employees twice the rate of their white counterparts. Meanwhile, the percentage of Black executives in leadership remains stagnant at less than 4% across Fortune 500 companies. With the increasing hostility towards DE&I and reduced job security, Black professionals must develop new strategies to advocate for themselves in corporate spaces. That's a lot of facts. So my first question would be, in this current political climate, what strategies can Black professionals use to advocate for themselves and their communities within corporate spaces? Lots to digest. Go ahead and take it.
I'll go ahead and kick it off. Incredibly thorough question, an in-depth question, Sada. Thank you for bringing up the facts. Where do we begin? I do think one of the biggest points that I'm always reiterating, especially to people who I know coming up within it, especially corporate spaces, you really have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be your biggest advocate for yourself. I think a lot of things at times we realize that the expectation is for you to be always on call, for you to always be available. You should be able to drop whatever you're doing at the drop of a dime for like a manager's or whatever, so I use, call and direction. And there's a lot of times where our boundaries are not respected. When you need something, it's when you drop everything and get it done. However, if I needed something, it's sometimes met with a little bit of more hesitation, and now I need you to do this, or I'll get to it when I can. And I think the biggest thing I'm learning is that if you're not the biggest advocate or the biggest cheerleader for yourself, they certainly will walk all over you. There's also ways that I'm learning that you have to, in a way, show up and show your work, because if you don't keep a track of your own record, if the things that you've accomplished, I have a folder on my desktop that I call my smile folder. And it's really just like my smile folder with things that I accomplished, things that I take care of. So I can use that as, we all know, receipts, so that when it comes time for conversations and when it comes time for promotions, I at least have now substantial data and evidence to back up and to show you what it is and what it ain't, and what I've been working on, what I've been busy with. Even if you're not privy to it, I'm going to make sure that I have it from you. And I also think another thing is making sure that I have people advocating for me outside of my own department, especially in the agency world. We're working with production, working with creative, working with so many other different interagencies, departments, even external partners. What is it that feedback that you can provide, that you can give, that I can hold in my back pocket for that time to share with my supervisor, my manager, my team leadership, whatever so have you. To wrap this question up, it is, my answer up, it is a lot going on in the industry, especially within the DE&I space. I think what we saw was a initiative and a rally cry, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, has certainly now turning into a cute buzzword. And because of that, and it's a threat, as you mentioned, from a legal standpoint, corporations like Target are rolling back, because if I'm the chief head resource officer at said company, I'm going to do everything I can to protect my company. And if the law is now telling me to roll back on DE&I, well, guess what we're doing? We're rolling back on DE&I. I think from a business perspective, If what's working well for the company is working well for the company, they're going to keep certain things in place and they will find a way to keep it in place. They might change the lingo, they might change the name, they might change the terminology, but if it's working well, if I brought in, and let's talk about like diversity of thought and diversity of experiences, if I'm bringing people into my organization and my company that are proving success, at the end of the day hitting that bottom line, but are contributing to the culture, are contributing to the environment, I'm going to keep them and I'm going to value them. A good company will. A bad company, as soon as they hear the illegal D&I terminology and D&I is out the window, then yeah, they probably will let you go as well. But a good company and an organization that values you and appreciates you will find ways to keep you, especially if you're an asset and you're valuable to the company. Again, you have your receipts. You're proving why you're a valuable asset. They'll do what they can to protect you and keep you. A good company will.
Yeah, that was a great answer. I mean, I think the only thing I would add to that is, in this moment in time, using data as your greatest ally. And what I mean by that is that we're in a moment in time where everything comes down to the number. And so when you look at, especially in our field, in advertising, the way CMOs make decisions, they're being viewed on how they do sales, how they do markets, and it has been proven time and time again, when you invest in diverse communities, it will move your business in short-term and long-term sales. It has been proven time and time again. And we're kind of losing the plot. Losing the facts, and I think it's so important when you're advocating for yourself, when you're advocating for certain media and business decisions, that you've got to come to people with like things that aren't subjective, that are quite objective. Like there's no way to misinterpret information and data. And so I just always find that, especially with what I do in strategy, a lot of what I come up with is like really built on instinct. A lot of it is built on gut, a lot of it is built on lived experience and so forth. But I always find that depending on who I'm talking to, I'm like, you're probably not going to listen to just what I have to say for surface value. I'm going to give you the numbers to back it up every single time. Because I know that that's what's actually going to move the decision making. And so I think for us in this moment in time, it's like being able to state the case and prove the case ends up being incredibly important. Is it fair? Absolutely not. But I think it's one of those things of understanding where we are and kind of what moves the needle.
Ditto. I agree with everything both of you gentlemen said. I think, like you said, in this climate, you have to have the receipts, you have to have the proof, you have to be able to show and tell. My mother used to say, I can show you better than I can tell you. And so that's the same thing that we have to do in our careers, right? Now, other things, as far as that question was concerned, I had a couple of notes that I took. So building strong networks, really important. Leveraging employee resources. So coming to the DEI meetings when they have it. Coming to the culture committee meetings when they have it. Because it's not always just going to be about race, right? It's going to be about something else, right? It's going to be about religion. It's going to be about sexuality. It's going to be about all the things. So you need to be a part of these conversations. You need to be in the room where it happens. Period. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to be in the room. And when you're at the table, act like you're at the table. Why are you not eating? Why are you just sitting there looking? Be a part of the conversation. You know what I mean? It's very important. Baby, get shot. Get on the shot, baby. Like, it's time to show. It's time to show. And like you said, good corporations, good organizations, whether they change the name from DEI, keep DEI, they'll understand we need to hire these people. They are moving the needle. They have a voice. Their dollar matters. Absolutely. And we need to speak to them the way they want to be spoken to. And the only way you can speak to people the way they want to be spoken to is if they can identify with you. If I can't identify with you in your mustard shirt, how are we going to have a good conversation? Right. We're not. Because you don't know me. You know what I mean? So I think with DEI and everything that's going on, and tomorrow we're not supposed to buy nothing. I told my mother, baby, we can't go to the Panera tomorrow. We can't buy nothing. We need 24 hours. Oh, can't be oblivious. And I think a lot of times that's where we fall. I'm doing my job. That's it. Sitting at my desk.
Just enough.
I'm doing my PowerPoint.
One thing, all great tidbits and points. I'm glad you got your notes because I love to go to these panels and events and all take notes. And I got mine as well. So yeah, let's make this casual and real. I got some notes as well. I think just one thing that stood out to me as well that you're talking about. We're seeing all these companies roll back again on these D&I initiatives. I think they look at it as like a barrier to entry, or they look at it as an issue. What I've always kind of felt like they were doing is a Band-Aid effect. Let's do these D&I initiatives. Let's do these programs. Let's have these, workshops. Let's do these forums. Let's set up these ERGs and all this amazing stuff to build the company culture. Because I feel like they had to. They were in response to doing what we saw taking place 4 or 5 years ago. What's been taking place, if we're honest, and not even again just from a diversity of race. Like we can talk about diversity across the spectrum. What I think, if we're going to be rolling back initiatives on D&I, I just think we also need to roll back like the wool and peel back the layers on a lot of things that also needs to be pulled back on. Like if you're concerned about D&I being a way that typically, let's say they're protected, I don't like to use the word marginalized communities, but like protected communities, a lot of them feel that they're not like equipped, or they don't have the skills, or they don't have the asset. That's not the case. That's never been the case. While we're looking for a level playing field, these people are ready and well equipped and have gone through programs like the Marcus Graham and the Ag Colors and the MAPES of the world. They're showing up, they're ready, they're equipped, and they're able to do the job and do the skill. But when you roll back and you say that we want to level the playing field, let's make sure we're leveling the playing field from like a systemic.
To the right
Like,
level.
yeah, it's education that we should, education, healthcare, like entertainment, advertising industry. There's a lot of things that we should be rolling back on. I think they want to roll back on D&I because that's the buzzword. That's what's hot right now. And again, it's always been a Band-Aid effect for them. But they don't want to do the real work systemically to pull back on issues that we know have been redlining, zoning, the housing market. Like it's discrimination across the board. So I just want to throw that in there because I feel like many times people are nervous and scared that D&I is, going to be rolled back and I'm going to lose all this stuff. Like there's so much more than this. So much more.
Ooh, yeah, okay. Well, that's a loaded response. I love the way that all three of you have broken it down. Trying not to jump ahead in some of our questions, we touched on a couple of things, but no, that's okay, that's okay. It's interesting because the digital era has been instrumental in amplifying Black voices. We see it everywhere, representation, but yet the systemic barriers still exist. So what do we do now? The MIT Technology Review found that Black social media influencers earn 35% less than their white counterparts due to unequal brand sponsorship deals. This is a personal fact that hit home for me because I know a couple of content creators who have made it past that threshold of, let's say, 100K, 500K followers. They're still not getting paid. They're making half of what their white counterparts are making and still doing the work. The editing is there, the representation is there. We're being shadow banned, right? So tech and digital media are powerful tools for cultural storytelling. How can Black creatives, advertisers, and technologists leverage these platforms to shape narratives and reclaim control over representation? Another loaded question.
So I think they already are. They have shaped it, right? But if you don't have the people who are looking for Asada on Instagram, who's doing hair, and she uses this shampoo that is your brand, and you're not looking for her, you'll never find her because you don't have the people in the room who know that Asada exists, and you need to be looking for her. So Asada is doing everything that she can. She's posting, she's editing, she's promoting, she's putting paid money toward it so that people can see it. But if you don't have the right people in the back room, I worked for an influencer company before I came to teach called Linkia. And I was a part of the strategic work with the salespeople to come up with the influencers for the campaigns, right? So I had the opportunity to go in and look at these influencers, see who they are, what they're posting, what their content looks like, all of that stuff, and suggest them to the brand. Now, sometimes when you get an RFP, y'all get an RFP. When you get an RFP, they have specifics about the target that they want, right? But if I look at the brand and I say, look, I know that this Hispanic mother is buying a Fabuloso, so we need to put her on this campaign. That's what I'm gonna present to you, right? And then you, as the ad agency, comes back to us and says, well, we actually weren't looking for Hispanic in this campaign. We have targeted dollars for Hispanic. This campaign is general marketing. So these are all the little buzzwords that are going on in our industry that prevent Asada or Tamika or Tamra or whomever to get on the campaign. That's from what I've seen. So the creator is doing everything that they're supposed to do. It's on the back end where they're being popped up. That's my
I like that you use that word, that's strategy.
Yeah, I would just add, I mean, I think what's so sad about, I think, what's happening in the social media landscape is that it's just building on trends that have been going on since the beginning of time, which is that you have Black people who create things and you have Black people who steal it. And so what I mean by that is we look at all the way like rock and roll, we look at Elvis, we look at what's happening with social media. This was years ago, like On Fleek, the Renegade things, like not getting credit for original ideas and things they came up with. But damn Daniel on Elvis. Like why I'm like, why is that the case? Why are these things happening? And I think in a world where like I've literally seen like jokes stolen on X, like I've seen memes and formats be stolen in real time. And we are losing origin stories of how ideas happen. Like there used to be systems that you could create, especially things like media and music and entertainment. Social media has none of those things. So what you're finding is that we are creating culture and being left behind when it comes to getting proper compensation for those things. And so I think I don't have a silver bullet solution to that, but it is one of the like very, very real issues around what is happening on the internet. And that you have these creators who are coming up with all these original ideas, my agency seeing them, your agency seeing like whoever's seeing them, and they want to latch onto that culture, they want to latch onto the terminology, and they want to steal it, and they want to use it, but they do not want to get the credit properly back to the person who created it in the first place. And so, building those safeguards, legal repercussions, like all those things, I think is absolutely, it's been critical for a very long time, but especially with the way that the internet moves now, and things move so fast, it's super critical right now.
Okay. To build off that point, especially if talking about the work that's done and some of these trends that are happening and whatnot, it just had honestly made me think and wasn't even part of my answer. I don't know if there's like a digital archiving, like exactly. Forms or publications or like systems already in place, but like if not, I might just give somebody $1 million. Like a digital like honestly, it's a place that we can go back. It's like a library for Black trends. Black Twitter was. I feel like I was at Twitter on the height of Black Twitter. Like there was all types of going on. And you just had to be there. It was some of the best things on Twitter, some of the best memes. And even to this day, like obviously the platform is what it is, but the culture that resonates from there. If there's some type of library or archival system that I can always go back to and reference, because naturally I'm looking to be able to reference the creators and the originators who are part of it. I think that's something that could be set in stone. But maybe back to your question, Asada. I think I heard a podcast, and I didn't finish all of it. I'm also not a subject matter expert, but these are just things that I'm coming into glimpse with and learning about. It was algorithm advocacy. And I thought that was put so well, and it was learning the background and the transparency into algorithms and what is being said and what's not being said by some of these platforms. Because it's a real thing. You talk about people being shadow banned, and they're doing all the work, and they're creating the right content, and they're might be just as dynamic and just as immersive as some of the other counterparts creators who are not black or not identified as people of color. So you do have to understand why isn't it working out in their favor. The algorithm and what's being done. You just might really be programmed to only be resonating or speaking to this certain type of audience and demographic. So I'm not looking at you from a general market standpoint. I don't know if there's algorithm advocacy like organizations already within, some of these tech companies. Probably not, but of course they're going to say and they're going to put out the language. And of course we're doing all we can, but that might be something also where just like a space to tap into.